Right now, the Dane County Winter Farmers Market opened up in Madison today. We'll take you there and show you what's up for 2025.
Saying goodbye to former President Jimmy Carter, I'm Cristian Benavides at the Carter Center in Atlanta with how the nation plans to honor his memory.
And a person is in custody in Monona after heavy police presence Saturday afternoon. We'll tell you why. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. A bit on the chilly side this Saturday, so let's get a look at your first one forecast with the meteorologist Blaze Keller, who joins us from the weather patio. Blaze, how does it feel out there?
A little bit chilly, to say the least. Got my thick winter coat on, and that's what we're going to continue to wear as we go over the next really 7 to 10 days. We're not expecting a big warm up by any means, but temperatures do look to slip out of being below normal towards the end of our extended forecast. We'll touch on that later on in this half hour, but temperatures across southern Wisconsin and across Dane County right around 17 degrees, 18 in Verona though, 19 in Stoughton, as well as 16 in Sauk City. We're going to slip to about 6 degrees in Madison, 9 there in Monroe, as well as in Janesville, 11 out in Milwaukee, 2 in Camp Douglas underneath partly cloudy to mostly cloudy conditions. Those clouds are going to be increasing with that big system expected to bring a lot of snow to parts of Indiana, Illinois, as well as Missouri and Kentucky. We may see a little bit of snow as we look to end your Sunday and go into Monday as that system skirts through the Midwest. But in terms of biggest impacts, we're looking at really along the Lake Michigan shoreline, out of generally our forecast area for any meaningful, impactful, measurable snow. Everybody else may be adjusting to 1/10 of an inch at best as we look to end your Monday going into Tuesday. Not a lot of snow in the forecast, but we are tracking, as I mentioned, a warm up in our temperatures. We're going to track out when that warm up occurs in the full forecast.
All right, Blaze, we'll see you then. The Dane County Winter Farmers Market opened up in Madison earlier today. Our Ellie LaLiberte shows us what makes this year so unique.
Thousands coming out to Garver Feed Mill here in Madison to get a taste of the late winter market.
We started the farm in 2021, and this is our first year at the Madison market.
Brad Thorpe owns Little Valley Farm with his wife, selling meat, honey, and wool products. He's one of 10 new vendors into the Dane County Farmers Market's late winter market, helping grow the event to 50 stalls.
We rented an extra space here in Garver, so there's more room to move around as a customer, and there's more diversity of products because we can fit those 10 extra vendors every week.
There's, a waiting list, and we're actually on the waiting list, and they called us and to let us know, hey, there's a spot open, can you be there?
Brad says if it wasn't for the extra space, he wouldn't be here.
We're grateful for anything we get because obviously this is normally a very slow time for us. So any revenue we can get now is great.
And for vendors who've been a part of the market for years, like Mel Dickinson, it's the more the merrier.
I'm hoping that the second room does great just for everybody to allow more businesses in and just to have everybody have that extra opportunity.
Market attendees are noticing.
Really fun and always glad to see everyone come out in the community to support such a great event.
The people know what they want. They know they want good quality meats. They want good quality produce and what they want. And that's really nice. It's been great. Yeah.
The market runs from 8 a.m. until noon until April 5th. Reporting in Madison, Ellie LaLiberte, News 3 Now.
Ellie, thank you. Crews respond to a large brush fire near Capitol Springs State Recreation Area Saturday afternoon. According to a Facebook post by the Monona Fire Department, crews were near the railroad track south of Walmart. Emergency vehicles may drive along Moreland Road and Southtown Drive. The Monona Fire Department were at the 2300 block of Gilchrist Road trying to put the fire down. The first call came in around 12:50 p.m. The fire, fortunately, is now contained. An incident caused a police investigation to occur at the 1200 block of Broadway Street and Cobbs Avenue in Monona on Saturday. Monona police received a call at around 1:57 p.m. to an apartment complex. An officer saw a subject sitting outside with a handgun pointing to his head at a BP gas station on Broadway. The subject was taken into custody just before 3 p.m. An ambulance was requested and trained officers continued dialogue with the subject. It is believed that the subject is also a suspect that was involved in a domestic disturbance that took place nearby. The Sauk County Sheriff's Office released a statement earlier today regarding a shelter-in-place warning sent to Baraboo residents around 2 a.m. According to the press release, the county's communications center had received a stolen truck report around 11:25 p.m. on Friday. The police, along with county deputies, located the suspected driver traveling westbound on Highway 136 going westbound around 1:43 p.m. It was there when the truck was put at a stop near Colmeyer Road. The driver and the passenger attempted to run away, but the passenger was arrested. The alleged driver left, causing a search to be created. The county's emergency management unit sent out an automated alert to cell phone users that were in the area and requesting to have people lock their doors and find shelter. A lift for the alert was sent approximately around 2:30 a.m. despite the suspect not being located. A California man who was messaging the Abundant Life's Christian school shooter before she carried out her deadly attack was in court on Friday. A restraining order against the 20-year-old Alexander Poffendorf says he and the ALCS shooter were planning a mass shooting together. That restraining order does not say where that would have been, other than a government building. Under the order, Poffendorf cannot have access to his guns, which is enforced by California's red flag law.
I would just like to apologize to the court, and then in terms of the future, in terms of the gun violence protective order, whatever you feel is necessary and the Carlsbad Police Department feels is necessary, I'm willing to accept.
While in court, a detective told the judge that the FBI expects the criminal investigation into Poffendorf to end within 2 to 3 months. Amid the ongoing investigation into the connection between the two, as well as the ALCS shooter's motives, social media accounts believed to belong to the shooter continue to circulate. The Madison Police Department says it cannot yet publicly verify which accounts belong to the suspect, but the investigation has led to online activity glorifying violence, hate, and extremist ideologies. The vice president of the Anti-Defamation League's Center of Extremism says online spaces that promote hate and violence are not hard for kids and teens to find. Janesville police have arrested 2 people in connection to a December shooting. It was on the 16th when officers were called to North High Street for reports of a shooting. It was there where they found a man in critical condition. On Friday, a search warrant was served at an apartment on North High Street. During the search, police arrested Deontay Foster. The 41-year-old is charged with attempted first-degree intentional homicide and being a felon in possession of a firearm. A 35-year-old woman was also arrested. She's being charged with harboring a felon. Both are being held in the Rock County Jail. And with the 119th Congress now sworn in, senators now can begin questioning and ultimately confirming or denying President-elect Trump's cabinet nominees. Those nominees are under scrutiny from both sides of the aisle. 2 of note, Pete Hegseth and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Hegseth, who Trump nominated to lead the DOD, has been accused of sexual assault, alcoholism, and misusing funds while working for a conservative veterans group. Trump picked Kennedy for the HHS. He's been criticized for his vaccine opinions. After being sworn in, Senator Tammy Baldwin spoke about how she'll vet these nominees.
I will give everyone a fair shake and give them due consideration. But I will not compromise if somebody might hurt Wisconsin families, veterans, businesses. I will tell you that there are some controversial picks among the group.
Baldwin says the committees within the Senate she sits on will have the chance to host hearings with the nominees. 6 days of funeral observances began today for former President Jimmy Carter, who died Sunday at the age of 100 in his home in Plains, Georgia. CBS News correspondent Cristian Benavides is at the Carter Center in Atlanta with more on how the nation is saying its final farewell.
Holy Spirit. Family, friends, and dignitaries filled the Carter Presidential Center in Atlanta Saturday as the nation honors former President Jimmy Carter.
He was an amazing man. And he was held up and propped up and soothed by an amazing woman. And the 2 of them together changed the world.
6 days of tributes began at the hospital in Americus, Georgia, where current and former Secret Service agents carried his casket to the hearse. The procession then traveled through Carter's rural hometown of Plains, Georgia, where well-wishers lined the route to pay their respects.
He made a lasting impact that we will never forget.
The motorcade made a brief stop at the Boyhood Farm, where the former peanut farmer grew up. Members of the National Park Service rang a bell 39 times in honor of the 39th president. Arriving in Atlanta, Governor Brian Kemp led a moment of silence at the state capitol to honor Carter's service as a state senator and governor. Carter will lie in repose here in Atlanta until Tuesday morning for mourners who want to come pay their respects.
He gives me hope.
Ian Hamilton says Carter's work after being president, which included building houses for the charity Habitat for Humanity and winning the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002, resonates the most.
I just see his legacy living on through all of us, especially in terms of, what he was able to accomplish through peace, through global health, and just being a role model citizen.
Carter's remains moved to Washington Tuesday to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol before his state funeral at the Washington National Cathedral Thursday. Cristian Benavides, CBS News, Atlanta.
After his funeral service in Washington Thursday, Carter's casket returns to Plains, Georgia for an invitation-only funeral before he is buried next to his wife of 77 years, Rosalind Carter. And coming up next on News 3 Now at 6, the latest on the fatal attack in New Orleans on New Year's Eve. What we know so far, that and more next.
You're watching News 3 Now at 6.
Thank you for staying with us. In New Orleans, the city is trying to heal as there are more questions about security ahead of the attack that killed 14 people and injured dozens more. Federal investigators said they found bomb-making materials at the attacker's home in Texas. Bradley Blackburn has the latest.
On Bourbon Street, the family of one of the victims, Hubert Gautreaux, came to the place where he died to share their grief.
The memory of his love and kindness will remain in our hearts forever.
Gautreaux's name written on the wall that's now honoring the 14 victims killed in the attack. The French Quarter is reopened with tightened security, while in Texas Friday, the FBI searched the home of the attacker, Shamsuddin Jabbar. Sources tell CBS News they found bomb-making chemicals and equipment inside. The FBI now believes Jabbar acted alone, but say the 42-year-old Army veteran was inspired by ISIS. His half-brother spoke to CBS but did not want to show his face.
Maybe he was going through something, that he just didn't
tell anyone about.
The New Orleans City Council has announced an investigation into what went wrong with security. There are questions about why a protection system designed to stop vehicles from entering Bourbon Street was down, and why temporary blocking devices called archers weren't in use on sidewalks, where the attacker was able to drive through.
Actually, we have them. I didn't know about them, but we have them, and so we have been able now to put them out.
On Friday, a law firm representing one of the victims said it will sue the city of New Orleans and the New Orleans Police Department over the attack, arguing they failed to implement basic security precautions. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
President Biden will travel to New Orleans next week to grieve with families, and Louisiana's governor has ordered a day of mourning for each of the victims in the attack. Statewide, the flags will be flown at half staff beginning on Monday. And coming up after the break, a complete look at your First One forecast when we return. Let's get a look at your First One forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze.
And we are looking at maybe just a few flurries here as we go Sunday, I would say, into the afternoon, overnight, into your Monday. And that's really going to be our only shot for snow over the next 10 days. And in part, that's because of the cold air that's sitting overhead. So we're going to be cold and quiet over the next 6 to 10 days, but towards the end of our extended forecast, and maybe as we get closer to the middle of January, we start to get closer to normal for this time of year. So let's take a look at where we're kind of seeing a bigger picture over parts of the Midwest. Essentially, a high pressure system is moving on in out of Canada. That's going to bring us a sun cloud mix as we go into your Sunday, but clouds are going to be hugging the state line and further south because that's where that big system is. That's going to be bringing a lot of snow to parts of the Ohio River Valley and southern parts of the Midwest. Because we're going to be on the northern end of this, we may get a few flurries overnight into your Monday morning hours, and then by the afternoon we start to see a little bit more sunshine as the heart of that high pressure system kind of moves on in. And then we add back the cloud cover, but we break it apart as we go into your Tuesday. We're not necessarily saying goodbye to that high pressure system, we're just kind of replacing where the center is. We're going to watch as that high pressure system strengthens back over parts of Canada. So Sunday into Monday, we're looking at very minimal snow chances except for along the Lake Michigan shoreline. That's where we do have kind of this minor winter storm severity impact possible with this next system. That's where a localized band of heavier snow may accumulate, but we're not anticipating that to really impact parts of our coverage area. Instead, we have to kind of take a wider view and actually see a lot of the Midwest where you find those oranges, those reds, and even those purples across southern Indiana. That's where we're expecting moderate, major, and even extreme impacts from this latest winter storm. If you're not a fan of the winter weather, by all means, you are thanking this high pressure system and the series of high pressure systems overhead, because that is essentially what is keeping that system off to our south. The high pressure system overhead is just simply too strong, even for that winter weather maker to our south. So if we extend out our future track snow probabilities from tonight all the way through the end of our extended forecast, very limited snow chances here, with many of us probably not even picking up an inch of snow over the next 6 to 10 days, which is good for people who want to get out on the lakes. We have a little explainer on our Facebook page, but the lack of snow actually allows our ice to grow rather quickly, not only during the daytime, but especially overnight when the lake is losing a lot of its heat. Speaking of heat, take a look at not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that, January 14th, that +1. That's when our temperatures maybe start to ease up from being below average to getting just to about average, if not there, a degree or two above average. So this prolonged cool down does look to be coming to an end, maybe towards the middle of January. But again, we're not anticipating a big warm up anytime soon. We'll probably lean more closer to average, if not maybe just a degree or two above average as we get closer to the middle of January. There is a look at your 10 and your 7-day forecast. Again, Jalen, we are not looking at a whole lot here. It's going to be fairly quiet. Plenty of sunshine though, so I know folks, this is kind of our cloudiest point in the year. So thankfully with these high pressure systems, we're able to at least get a little bit of sunshine out there. But for snow lovers, this is just unfortunate. We're not really seeing a whole lot in the way of snow possibilities over really the next 10 days.
Well, I'm not going to complain too much because
Okay.
I commute to work every single day. But since I'm back here, is there a chance that I get to press any of the buttons or no?
No,
Not right
I
now?
don't know what those buttons do. I don't really want to. You can press it and then it's your problem. I'm not gonna
risk it while
it's
we're
not
on
gonna be
air.
my problem. But as I mentioned, the lack of snow very quickly for people wanting to get out on the ice, whether it's just to walk on the ice or fish, this is some great news. The longer we can keep the snow off the ice, the thicker that ice is gonna get for the anglers.
Are you going to be one of the people out on the ice or do you pass on?
I like to walk on it. I don't have a fishing pole, and I'm not gonna stick my hand in there to try to get a fish.
I've actually never gone out on the ice.
You should. It's scary.
I
but
may
it's
check
fun.
it out. I wanted to do the 5K
Yeah.
on the ice last year, but it was so warm we weren't able to. So maybe this time around. I'll
That's
be
in
able to.
February, right?
I believe so, yeah.
We'll have to see if we're that cold in February, but if it were now, it'd be perfect.
All right, well, sounds good. Fingers crossed for February. All right, coming up in sports, Badger fans head south to the Windy City as Wisconsin hockey plays at Wrigley Field. Hear from the fans next. Thank you for staying with us. Wisconsin hockey fans had the experience of a lifetime earlier today as they all met up at Slugger's Bar in Chicago ahead of their big matchup right next to Wrigley Field. Fans joined at the local pub, getting ready to root on their favorite team again at Wrigley Field.
I just have a lot of school spirit. I've always been a diehard UW Badger fan. I got a lot of friends down here in Chicago, so I figured why not start off the new year with some good old Badger wins.
And I said, what an opportunity to play at Wrigley outside. Caroline and her whole team is so excited. They're so excited to be here, and we're so excited as fans to be here. But yeah, we'll look back. We'll see the jersey in the closet 10 years from now, and I won't, make us smile every time we see it.
We'll have more for the game and the full highlights tonight on News 3 Now at 10. And the Bucks looking to climb the Eastern Conference ladder tonight with a win over the Portland Trail Blazers. Bucks currently sitting at 5th in the conference at 17 and 15. Giannis currently leading the league in scoring, averaging just over 32 points. And his partner in crime, Damian Lillard, averaging 25 points a game, which puts him at 10th in the NBA in scoring. Their game against the Trail Blazers kicks off at 7. My bad. Tips off, not kicks off. That's the football player.
I was going to say, you should know sports more than I do. And that one, I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Again,
but that's in like 30 minutes.
I know. They've started out the season pretty rough, so they got to keep things rolling. But luckily, they play indoors and not outdoors because it is freezing outside currently.
Yeah, but they're like running. It might actually feel good.
You're right.
It might, but yes, it is cold out there. We are going to be in the single digits tonight. If we want to take it full, that would be great. Otherwise, just scoot over a tiny bit. There you go. Okay, you can come back. Single digits tonight, wind chill values, especially if you're up early on Sunday, maybe just a few degrees below zero. But overall, we can thank the lack of snow and lack of windy conditions for that. And we're going to stay quiet over the next 7 to 10 days.